Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to another ENFP male interview. Today, I get to interview Courtney. So, Courtney, welcome.
Hi.
So, Courtney, can you give us your full type, please?
Yes, I am an INFP, consume, play, blast, sleep with double feminine.
Gotcha. So, what did you think, and how did you feel when you got your typing results back?
I was a little bit surprised at first because I had actually thought I was an ENFP for a really long time. But so I was like, no, this is not right. This is wrong. It doesn't make any sense. Then I actually I made a chart and I did the like pings and I looked at the pings and my pings were, I thought I was an ENFP jumper and I looked at the pings and I was pinging NE and TE. And I was like, oh, okay, this is right. This is completely right. And as I kind of thought about it more and then I watched my video over a couple times, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been an INFP this whole time. So yeah, but it's hard to see because of basically my animals. So because I'm a glass lizard. So
Yes, you are the most extroverted INFP type, so it would confuse people.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you would be very ENFP-ish also. But
Yeah, I keep saying I'm an ENFP flavored INFP, basically.
yeah, I remember a long time ago in their old videos, they had Seth MacFarlane as an ENFP, but then when they started doing the cross
Oh.
checks, it turns out he wasn't. He was an INFP the whole time. So it makes sense why some INFPs come across as ENFPs.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely when I watched my video over, I was like, all I talked about was people. That's what makes me an INFP. And I watched another one of my friends is an ENFP. He's been typed too. He's an ENFP officially typed. And I watched his video and all he talked about was mountains. And I was like, oh, that's why. Okay.
Mountains. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Okay, so why don't we start with that? Let's talk about the people talk. Talk about the preoccupation with people, because you're a strange type because you're the glass lizard, right? So, compared to the other your other INFP cousins, you're more likely to see the tribe's perspective, even though it's still scary. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's like whenever I give advice to people, I'm always like, well, think about what the other people feel. Think about what everyone else feels. And that's kind of like my whole like mantra, I guess. Like think like everyone's different and you have to understand other people. And that's like what I do in life. And that's what I do for my job, kind of. I'm a user experience designer. So I figure out how people use things. I basically use TE all the time in my job. And like, which is crazy. Like you wouldn't think an INFP would do that, but I do. So
Yeah, let's talk about that then. So why don't we just jump in right at the scary part, the TE at the bottom.
okay.
Okay, so
Yay.
it's double activated feminine TE. Because it's double activated, how do you personally experience it?
Um, I feel this is why I thought I was an ENFP jumper for a really long time because I use TE all the time. I'm always like trying to figure out how to make everything work for people, how to organize like maybe say like my house so that everyone can use everything and it functions. And I'm like kind of obsessed with the functionality of everything. But I actually realized that comes from I think it comes from being a glass lizard because I had a kind of a whole, I guess, identity crisis when I was like, and then I don't know if you've seen the video on OP. I watched it right after I found out I was a glass lizard, where they say these glass lizards go through identity crises when they're like 25-ish. And when I was around 24 and 25, I was in a job that I really, really hated. So in order to get out of that job, I basically force developed TE. And here I am. And I feel way more comfortable and developed and happier than I've ever been because I've had to go through that and I've had to kind of figure it out. And I was almost forced to because I'm pinging TE twice. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's I find it very ironic, where for all the types, the fourth function is the greatest source of fear, yet it is also the greatest source of happiness if you come to terms with it. It's quite interesting how that works. So now that you've kind of been helping people with your TE, like your TE is attached to blast, which is SITE, and play, which is NETE. We'll cover both parts, but how do you feel now that you've been working by helping people get things to work for them? How does it make you feel personally?
It makes me feel really good, I guess. I really enjoy helping people. I really enjoy objective personality too, because I feel like I can give people answers when maybe they don't have an answer for like what they're, especially with my family and my friends, if they're struggling, I really like to be there for people. And emotionally, I think, and I guess that's what makes me kind of an INFP. I use FI for that a lot, where I'm understand. So I use, I guess, a balance of FI and TE. I use my understanding of my own feelings to then understand other people's feelings and how to make their work for other people. And I guess that's the balance between the two.
Right. Why don't we cover the play first? So it's NET.
Okay.
So we both share that. That's my first. That's
your first one. Oh, you're a jumper, an ENFP jumper?
Yeah, I'm play blast, consume sleep. I'm
okay.
ENFP.
Sleep last. Yay, it's fun. Yeah, it's so fun.
With the NT play, I can see it as doing collaborations with other people to solve a problem. So working with others to solve a problem, essentially. It's more abstract. So how do you see yourself using play, using that abstract puzzle solving ability to solve people with them?
I guess it would come from being a designer, I guess. I do a lot of collaborations with other designers, and kind of, I guess that's the NT play, where you're trying to figure out how to work these problems out. And I guess it's for other people. And I do it with my family. Like I have like a really, I don't even know how to like describe my life. I want to say husband, but my husband is transgender. So my husband is my wife. So I'm working through that right now. But basically this person, my wife, husband, is she'll be next to be typed. We think as a ENTP. And we literally sit there and create, like we're working on an app, like we creative energy flow all the time. I do that all the time in my life. It's all about creativity and how to fix, I don't even know. This is like so difficult there's so much. And maybe this comes from being a DI first. I feel like there's so much to like cover. So yeah, I guess bottom line, it comes from collaborations. Creative collaboration was what I use play to do a lot, and talking about personality.
Gotcha. Do you mind if I ask questions about your relationship with your husband? That's kind of interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I did, when I did the video, I was like, because I think about my life as normal, because I lived my life my whole life, and I was doing the video and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like I didn't realize how different I was, I guess, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I mean, my question is more because I'm info dominant. So I'm curious, like.
Oh yeah. So am I. So.
Yeah. We're both info dominant. So did you know he was a transgender when you guys first
started? And we think he's also, or she, we're still like in between transition. So it's like the transition portion of this is very, very new. But I knew my entire relationship that he was transgender. That's like the first thing he ever told me.
Oh, okay.
When we first got together. So it's not like a shock. It's like you're actually, and this is why we think he's sleep last, because he was like, oh, let me just pretend it's not happening. And then he's like, oh wait, now I have to do this. So yeah, we're facing it now. But it's been like 10 years. I've lived in a heterosexual normal relationship for 10 years until he was finally like, oh, I have to do this for myself, and I'm going to transition now. I was like, great. Didn't really faze me. So
would you say you are straight then?
I don't really identify with any like sexuality, I guess. I guess that would mean I'm like pansexual. I just fall in love with a person, and that's the person I fall in love with. So
okay. So so for you, it doesn't matter what the gender is.
No, I don't really care. I guess that would mean I'm bi. I don't really know. I have no idea, and nor do I really care. I guess I'm just like with this person that I love. So
no, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's like really strange to explain, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just more like.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I'm more info dominant. It's not like I don't care what people's sexual preference are. I'm just curious more from an info dominant.
No, absolutely. I love talking about it because I love talking about.
So yeah, I guess it sounds like more you're like Biden from the.
I guess so. I don't. Yeah.
Because like it sounds like, okay, it doesn't matter who the person is, whatever gender, as long as you love them, that's all that matters. And
yeah, that's kind of what it is. I guess that would mean I'm bi. I don't really think about it though. I guess that's probably why I don't really care. It's like it's not something I think about. I just like living my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I went out with an INFP once, and she looks like one of the people I interviewed actually. And
Oh, really?
was also bi. So I thought it was kind of fascinating. I mean,
Interesting. Yeah.
like, yeah, she would tell me stories about like, oh yeah, like, oh, I'm so like I have a crush on this girl. Like she also likes guys. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder
It's crazy. I think I have a theory that I think a lot of intuitives kind of are like that, because we don't really aren't really attached to the physical world. Like I don't really care about attaching to a label like lesbian, bi, gay. Like I think about the world in a more abstract way. So I think it's not as important to me, I guess, to label myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all good. I mean, it's 2021. Whatever.
Yeah, we're progressing.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's as big of a deal. I mean, at least not in North America. Obviously, it's a different country. They're still kind of like that's still weird for them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go back. Let's go to your next part. Blast, ST, double feminine, ST blast, SITE. You haven't activated its third, was double feminine, especially your sensory. Like yesterday, you forgot the interview because
yes.
I
have my sensory is like.
No, I know, I got it. I was like, yeah, I'm like damn feminine SI,
Yeah, I only pinged that thing once. So like,
yeah, but so yeah, let's talk about your double feminine ST blast. You're teaching people how to do something, but it's double feminine. So like, what's going on there? It's a little bit confusing for me.
Yeah, so I like to call it like my mom voice. If someone does something that I don't like, I'll literally go. I see the ST blast come out where I'll be like, you can't do that. Like, don't do it like this. Do it like that. Like, you can't say that. It's really like sometimes it comes out aggressive, but only if I'm like upset. Normally, it doesn't really come out that often. It's like not something that happens, I guess, that all that often. And I think my friend and I have a theory where your third animal is kind of the animal you jump to when you're stressed. So if I get stressed, I start blasting, and I'll start like talking about something and being really kind of harsh about it, but only if I'm upset. That's not how I normally speak, I guess.
Well, I mean, your blast is double feminine, so I can't see it being harsh. I see it like you're telling people what to do, but in a very soft and friendly way. It's like,
I guess it's kind of more like, oh, maybe you shouldn't. I think it's harsh, maybe because of how I view myself. I actually view myself way more masculine than I actually come across to other people.
Okay, so maybe that's what's happening then.
Yeah, so maybe you'll have to ask my posse how I actually look, but I think it sounds really aggressive.
Yeah, maybe to them they're like, oh no, yeah, she's really nice about it, and then you're like, oh, yeah. Okay, so since you talked about you being more aggressive, so people say that, or at least Dave and Shan, they said that people with masculine FI or masculine DI in general, they think they are the threatening one. The tribe is not threatening; they are the threat, right? So
yeah, I think that. I'm like, you better not mess with me.
Yeah, can you talk about that? Like, you have masculine FI, right? So can you talk about you're the threat?
I think, and I guess this is like the masculine FI with the feminine DE. Is I think I'm gonna like go out and like tell this person off. I will never actually do it though. I'll like talk big all about it and be like, I'm gonna like set this right, this person straight. But when I go into the situation and I'm with another person, I'll like be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't say that. So yeah, so I think I'm threatening, but I'm actually not threatening.
Yeah. Well, until they get you to have your back against the wall, then yeah, you can scratch their eye.
Yeah, then I'll come. Yeah, then I will. It's very, I guess people always used to say, especially when I was younger, that if I would never get mad at anything, but if I got mad, it was a big deal. Like you really messed up.
Yeah.
If I got mad at you. So yeah. So it takes a lot for the, like, I guess the feminine DE to like go away or something. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about your double masculine side. Your double masculine consume. So NEFI, double masculine. So how aggressive are you at gathering new information and new experiences?
I would say I constantly am like trying to learn something. I've got like, I'm always scrolling Pinterest because one of the things I like to do is I like to cook. So it's kind of one of my FI attachments, I guess. So I'm always trying to find new recipes and finding ways to like, and it's not about like the recipe, it's about like the kind of I like to do it intuitively. So I'm trying to learn the whole spectrum of like everything you can do with cooking, and then figure out. So I'm like literally always doing that. And I'm always learning about, I'm an artist, so I'm always learning about new techniques, or with design, I'm always learning new design techniques. I'm constantly seeking information like all day, every single day.
So I kind of see you as like EP on top of EP because of besides the fact that you have double masculine consume, and it's your first animal, and consume is also correlated with EP, because you're gonna be the least INFP of all INFPs, because sleep is an INFP animal, and you don't have, it's like fourth, right?
Yeah.
So, but besides that, when I say you're like a EP, it's because you're also a tester. You're a tester visual, right? So
yeah,
when you're a tester, you like to experiment, especially with like something with aroma. Can you talk about like your sense of smell, like liking a variety of like food?
Oh yeah, my sense of smell is super weird. I will describe things like, if I like, I'll describe it as like I don't know if this is like attached to SI or something, but if I like something, I'll say this smells like Christmas, or this smells like a thing, like something in my I don't know, my past or something. I also have like an extremely like, I guess, powerful sense of smell. Like I can sense different things, and I'm always looking for that. I don't know if that's really answering your question, but I think I relate smell to feeling. Like feeling has a lot to, like, if I smell something in a moment where I'm feeling something, I will automatically relate that smell with what I'm feeling at the time. So
yeah, that sounds like FISI. Like
yeah,
like yeah,
I can see that.
Okay. What about the visual part? Like, are you very good with like visual memory and whatnot?
Kind of, I guess. I don't really know. So I thought I was an audio for the longest time, because I actually am dyslexic, so I can't read very well. So I thought, oh, I can't read something and remember it because I don't like pick it up. So this is like kind of a really new thing for me. Like I don't really know how I'm doing, because I've just thought I was an auditory learner for my entire life. But now I'm like, maybe I'm a visual learner who just can't read. So it just makes it that much more difficult. So I don't exactly know. I've never thought about it before.
Well, I find that the reading thing is more like masculine S, because you're like, the words are solid, right? So
okay. I hadn't thought about that. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I think maybe for you, if someone were to show you like a cartoon strip, you would pick that up better than just textbook.
Probably. Yeah. I had like there's a physics book that was a manga that I read when I was taking physics, and that really helped me learn physics. So yeah, maybe I can see that.
Yeah, maybe they should do that more often.
I like videos. Yeah. And maybe, I like a lot of videos and visual, or maybe I thought it was an audio thing, like that I like videos, but maybe it's a visual thing that I'm seeing it happen and I'm hearing it, but I'm also seeing it at the same time. I don't know.
Right. It's possible. I mean, you would have access to auditory stuff because you're not like, you're not a pure visual person. You're not like FM, right? So
no, I'm more of a tester, and I can see the tester part. I'm not really sure about the visual part, I guess, with me, but the tester part, I'm seeing that more and more, because if someone's like, well, help me with this homework assignment, and like my younger brother he's a film major, so he'll show me something and a video and ask me, well, what should I do? Should I add this song here? I'll just say, well, did you try it? Did you try it? Did you try it? You should try it. That's like my advice for everything. And I'm realizing now that, all I want to do is try it. I want to try everything. So
yeah, that's like a mix of tester and play. You have a double activated play. So that's very interesting. That means you're always pinging off other people. Can you talk about like that never-ending ping back and forth?
Yeah, I can talk about that. I used to work at the job that I mentioned before that I didn't like. I actually had a bunch of coworkers at this job who were also designers. In this job, I actually was able to, I would always ask them, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And that was really nice. And now I notice I'm in a different job now, and I'm the only designer. So I'm really struggling with that. Like, I can't ask anyone anything. I don't know. Like, I need creative collaboration. Like I I'm really struggling. So I'll often go to like my husband and say, well, what do you think of this? Even though he doesn't even work at my company, but I just like need somebody's opinion to make sure I'm going in the right direction.
Right. Collaborative problem solving is interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I can't just do something creative without input from somebody else. So
yeah, I think I had to learn the hard way how to do it without the people's input. Like I have a travel blog and I had to like write my own articles and for like the longest time. And I'm like, I mean, I can do it now, but before it was so hard. I was like, oh, I need to bother my girlfriend or something or someone, like, because otherwise, I can't do the ping back.
I know I have to, and it's actually nice because my husband is the same way, so we're just like pinging off each other all the time. That's like all we do, so it doesn't bother us. We're okay together.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank God you don't have a play last partner.
No, I think he's also sleep last, and yeah, so literally all we do all day is ping off each other.
Yeah. Let's talk about your sleep now that we're on this topic. SF sleep. How do you personally experience that SF sleep, or how do you not experience it?
I think it comes. It's like kind of a hard question because I don't really know.
Okay, can I bring some examples and then you can like use it?
I didn't really understand when I was younger. I was really kind of shy, and I guess I had like social anxiety. And I do remember that my friends, I had a couple friends, and we'd always have these sleepovers, and they would go back and forth with their opinions and stuff. And I never talked because I was so shy. And they ganged up on me one time, and they were like, hey, like, what's your opinion on this? And I realized I like literally did not have an opinion. I was like, I have no idea. So I don't know if that has anything to do with SF sleep. I really had to think about that was like not natural to me, I guess. I didn't know what I thought about things, or like what was going on in my emotions. I didn't really understand. There was a long period of time when I couldn't speak my own emotions. I had to write them. I physically like couldn't get them out, and I didn't even really know what they were. So it took me a really long time to be able to kind of understand myself and understand what I wanted and what I was feeling. So maybe that's something that's to do with SF sleep.
Yeah, I think it's part of it. Like I do notice for myself, with the SF sleep loss, sometimes I get emotionally triggered, and then I know I'm triggered, but I don't know what happened that caused me to get triggered. So I have to really sit down and like talk to myself about it. I'm like, okay, Kendrick, why are you triggered right now? What is it about the other person that made you feel like this? And I have to like work through it. And I'm like, it's so annoying. But then, yeah,
I can see that now. I do that too, definitely. And now in my life, I can understand that everything's related. And maybe that's like my animals developing and my SF sleep developing, because now my advice to everyone is like, everything's connected to something, you have to figure it out. So, but I don't know if everyone else needs that advice, but I definitely did. So yeah, I can do that.
So part of SF sleep is also setting boundaries with people.
Oh God, yeah, I'm awful at that. Okay.
and having a system to set boundaries, like an automatic system, because part of sleep is also preserving energy, right? So if the tribe does something that you don't like, then you have an automatic response that you've already thought of in great detail to present. So I'll give you an example. I have an IP friend. He's an ISTP. He looks exactly like one of the people I interviewed, and he's been screwing over our group of friends for the last 25 years, and we kind of just let him get away with it. But like, lately we just put our foot down. We're like, you know what? Screw it. You're banned for 1 year. So we all collectively banned him. Yeah, we collectively banned him for 1 year, and the only way he can get unbanned is if he makes an apology video, and he signs a contract saying that he needs to be a better human being, and then there's penalty and stuff, and we have it all into detail too. So eventually, he tried to negotiate with us on this, and every time he tried to negotiate, we made the penalty worse, right? So eventually, So eventually, he caved and he made the apology video, and then he signed the contract that we made for him. And then,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny. But like now that he's unbanned, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you know what? I like him, but he's also toxic. So I think he's gonna be like at most once a month. you know.
I can see that. I see what you mean, because I definitely will let people walk all over me. I'm just like, oh, I'll do everything for everyone. Like, I just want everyone to be happy, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not happy. So I've had to learn that for sure, that like I can't do that. So
yeah, so I thought it was interesting that like with SF sleep, you do have to set like very specific parameters when it comes to
and it's almost like I can see like you just don't even know that you can. Like I just didn't even realize that, like, oh, I can set a boundary, like that's allowed. So so yeah, I think I don't know if other people have with if their last animal, but I can see that like I just like literally didn't know that I was allowed to do that. So
right. Yeah, it's interesting, but I think with practice you'll find a system that works for you.
Oh yeah, I can now. It takes like a lot of thought and a lot of like preparation and a lot of like force, I guess, to kind of do that, but I can do it, and I'm comfortable with it, at least enough.
Let's talk about your FI. What do you personally value in your life? Can you tell me your value system?
I guess I value understanding people. Like I value fairness, I guess. I don't know exactly how to say this, but like having everyone have an equal amount of space that they're allowed to take, or allowed to be emotional or do whatever they want or with that space. So I guess that's kind of like fairness. I value love, I guess. I value giving people love. I don't know how else to describe that. I also value creativity, and I value open-mindedness and connection. And I guess acceptance of people, even if they're different, but they're not like hurting anyone. Like, it's okay to be different, I guess that's kind of what I value. I do value a lot of some like petty things that I value, I guess, are like, I do value like my appearance and how I like put myself out there, like visually, I guess. Like I didn't realize this for a really long time, but my hair actually is like huge for my identity, and I like really need it to be like a certain way in order for me to feel like myself. I also need to have like, I guess, like a certain fashion sense, so I wear certain clothes to make me feel like I'm myself. It's very like specific, I guess, when it comes to that. So that's kind of, I guess, not petty, but like shallow, I guess, kind of things that I'm attached to. Yeah, I guess that's a hard question.
I find INFPs to be like a paradox, because like on one end, I find INFPs to be very open-minded, and like when it comes to self-expression, they're like, yeah, you can be whoever you want to be. But then there's like this weird trigger with this INFP. Like the moment they label someone as bad, then they kind of get really weird about it, and like they go all in as this person is a bad person, even though if you look at the facts, this person is probably not as bad as they say they are, or it's like a gray, or whatever they did that was bad was like a one-off, that it was the one time that the INFP saw them doing something bad, and now they see them as bad all the time, even though it was just like a one thing. So can you talk about like the weirdness with like people when it comes to like that kind of stuff as an INFP?
Yeah, I definitely can see. I kind of try to fight that, I guess, and then maybe being a glass lizard helps that a little bit, because I think now in my life, I like to, even if I feel like someone's a bad person, I like to see them for who they are. Like if I have one of my best friends is like getting a divorce with this horrible guy, and part of me is like, he's horrible, but part of me is also like, but he has his own struggles. Like, he's not horrible. He's just like struggling. So I can see where I would jump to, though, like, this person's horrible. And I do see like if someone does something that like really upsets me, I will get triggered and I'll be like, this person's a bad person. Yeah. But I can reel myself back in. I can reel myself and say, okay, well, like, what is this person experiencing? Like, I don't know. I can't really say they're a bad person necessarily. I like to give everyone a fair chance, I guess.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those tricky things. Like, I don't know if you've seen like movies in the past, like movies where like they'll paint someone as like a really bad person, but then when you zoom into that person's life and you look at their history, you're like, wait a minute. Like, if you look at what motivated them to do all those bad things, usually it's something that's not that bad. Like, I don't know if you watch do you watch like Marvel movies?
Yeah, I haven't seen all of them, but I have seen some.
Did you see the new one, Shang-Chi?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay, well, I won't spoil it, but basically,
Okay.
the bad guy, when they actually start doing a backstory on him, you're like, oh, he's not really that bad. I mean, he is, but he's not. So it's like, you know,
Yeah, and that's kind of like how I feel the world is. Like there is no ultimate good and ultimate evil. There's all this gray area, and like people are fighting. It's like Si fighting Si. Like my Si says this is right and my Si says this, and they're just fighting each other. So it's like you really have to see people for who they are. Like they have a whole experience that like we can't see if we see them do one thing that we see as bad. But like, why are they doing that? We don't know. So maybe we can find out. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's cover your TE. Your TE is feminine. Would you say that for TE, because it's non-personal, that when people tell you what they want help with, it's for you, it's like a no-brainer. It's like, okay, well, that's what they asked, so I'll just give to them, you know? Like,
yeah. And like ideas flow really like easily too. Like if someone says, oh, that's a bad idea for that design, like you should scrap that. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let me do it again. Like that doesn't hurt.
yeah. You don't take it personally. You're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's a bad design. Really? Okay, cool. Like what's the better design?
That's good. Because some people get really weird about that, right?
No, like, I don't. I'm like, please tell me if it's bad. If it's bad, I don't want it. I'd like get it out of here.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about you being a double observer, being balanced with gathering and organizing. So that part is not scary for you. That one is like supposed to be normal. How did you feel about organizing and gathering?
I guess this is like a weird, I guess a new question for me, because I thought I was good at people organizing because I thought I was ENFP, but I guess I have an easy time like taking in like new information and then like putting it, and it's not like scary to like learn a new subject or something, like learn how to, like I just right before this I was putting concrete over my countertops. Like it's not that scary to learn how to do that, like get the information, figure out like how to do it. Sometimes it's frustrating, but it doesn't really like end my world as it does with other people I've seen who are trying to learn something new. So
got it. So because you're an INFP, your biggest pain point would come from the tribe. I want to ask you a few questions about the pain points. The first one is fear of abandonment. Do you have that?
Yeah.
Do you have the feeling?
Oh yes. All the time. Yeah, and this is like another thing why I realized, oh, like I am an INFP. Like that is like my whole like my whole fear, I guess, is that if I do something wrong, that's why I had social anxiety when I was young. If I say the wrong thing, then they'll hate me. Or if I don't do this favor for this person, they'll hate me. Like I'll never have a friend ever again. So it's like, yeah. So I'm always afraid that like, because as an INFP, I think I feel so different. Like I see the world like really doesn't think like me, and I'm like, why aren't they doing this? So then I get nervous and scared that like I don't understand anyone, and then they don't understand me, and then they're gonna abandon me, and I'm the outsider, and like that's the fear basically.
Can you elaborate on that? Like when you said that, you know, you feel like no one understands you and you don't understand the people too. Like, how do you see the tribe? Because David Shan says that IP sees the tribe as like a shadow. They don't see them as like real people.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I see, and I can see this more when I was younger, I guess when I was more imbalanced, that like I like was so, I talked about this in my video. I did not understand how to do life and how to talk to people. And I literally felt like I was in a fantasy world. I literally like made a character and like lived from the perspective of this character. And like, I wasn't living in the real world. And the other people like, just like weren't a part of it. So it was really like, it wasn't something I understood, just talking to other people or like understanding other people. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm probably doing a really bad job, but yeah, I definitely see that hazy is a really, really good, I never thought about it that way before, but yeah, that's pretty accurate, that it's other people like just don't make sense to me.
So you said that that was when you were younger. As you got older, when did you start realizing that, wait a minute, every person is like you, they're a human being, they have feelings, they have thoughts, they have their own struggles. Like when did that click in? Like, oh shit, you know?
Yeah, I think it probably started around maybe when I was like towards the end of high school. And I kind of started to understand other people and be able to make friends and talk to other people and have them understand me. But it really didn't actually start until I discovered objective personality, honest to God. This is like everything. This is why objective personality probably gets a lot of IPs. Because they get a lot of, they said this in a video, and I was like, it's because we just don't get it. We don't understand people. And then this literally is a tool to understand people. So I can look and say, that's what this person's doing. I know what's going on. So yeah, it took me a really long time.
Got it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think objective personality does get, I mean, it's just like really like EJs that don't come across as often, you know? So
yeah, they just like have it. They understand it already. They're like, we don't need help. This is like literally changed my life. I know I feel so much more confident in like my ability to do anything. So
I think for the EJs, it's more like they don't want to know themselves or something, you know? So
that's a good point too. Yeah, because that introverted decider at the bottom.
Yeah. The EP and IJ, they're both double decider. So they're like, oh yeah, I do want to know about myself. So okay, they're here.
I want to know.
Okay,
and like,
no-brainer, right? So yeah, you do know.
Yeah, they're like, I can just forget about that. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting.
Because, and I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I have like a theory that, and I don't know if anyone else has like, I haven't heard anyone else say this, but maybe you can say something to this so I think NE and FI as a combination as like your top two functions. Oh, you're a jumper, so maybe it's different for you. But I think feeling is actually the abstract version. So we have like sensing and intuition is abstract. As far as the deciding side, I feel like feeling is the abstract version of thinking. So being a INFP FINE is like so abstract. Like I can't put to words like what I'm feeling. It's so random, I guess. Like it doesn't have a like sensory experience. It's very personal, I guess. So
I think it's more like because you have feminine SI. I think if you have masculine SI, yeah, because like do you know Brene Brown? Have you read any of her books?
Yeah, I haven't read her books, but I do know of her. I've watched a lot of her videos.
Yeah, no, Brene Brown is like, she's like the queen of like FISI. Like she, like the book she wrote, The Gifts of Imperfection, she literally like spelled out what FISI was in that book, you know?
Oh, okay.
And I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is gold. So every time I feel bad,
read that.
Follow. Like she had a system. I made a video about it, but she had like a system, an FISI system. It was like, okay, if you're feeling bad, you're probably not doing one of these. Like I think it was 5 or 6 things.
Oh my gosh, I need to look into this.
Read the book. It was a good book. And then and she's an ISTJ, so she shares the same function stack as us.
Oh yeah, okay.
And she has demons sleep also, but it's not last, it's third, right? So
third, okay.
But yeah, she figured it out and she wrote it in a book, and I'm like, oh my God, this is gold. Like now every time I feel bad, I'm like, it's this one. I didn't do this
like
one.
Brene, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Because it just feels so like I can't describe. I'm like, I'm feeling something. Like, what do I say? Like, I don't know. So
yeah, I think like when I was reading it, like the one of the ones that caught me the most was like when she was talking about like, okay, are you being purposeful when you're doing something, or are you numbing? And I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. That's one I
sounds like me.
You know, and some people, they do it with like food. They'll numb themselves with food, or they'll watch like a TV show to numb themselves from like all the bad stuff that happened throughout the day, instead of like confronting it. You know, it's really interesting how she labeled that book. I mean, for IPs, because like in a book she says, are you doing enough for other people? Are you doing enough for yourself? So for IPs, I'm like, yeah, they're not doing enough for other people. Or like if you're like an EJ, not doing enough for yourself. So it's like, it was like the best foolproof system I've seen, like for like dealing with your feelings. And I'm like, damn, you know, like this is
yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely masculine SI, because then she was able to pinpoint exactly what the right,
what it was. Yeah. Feminine SI doesn't do that. So
yeah. Okay. So earlier I wanted to ask you actually. So because you have consume first but sleep last, it's like a weird thing because like consume and sleep is both correlated with self awareness. Um, so consume is like you become a ghost, come off your body, and then you can watch yourself from a third person point of view. So from an external perspective, you're aware of yourself at all times. But sleep is the opposite. Sleep is like you're like inside and you can see what's going on inside. And so you're weird in a way because you have that like perfect external self-awareness, but the internal self-awareness is like fourth. So it's like and it's feminine SI too, so it's like a bit more hazy. So can you talk about that weird paradox that's happening where yes, you do yourself, but you don't see what's inside, you just see what's like outside?
Oh yeah. So my video that I made, so I talked to like, because some of the questions for OP are like, what's the hardest time in your life? And like, I've gone to therapy, I did all this stuff, and I'm learning out how to like, basically how to take care of myself. Cause like, I won't do it basically. And I won't see like when I'm in pain or when I'm hurting, I can't see that. I don't understand that. So I did this video and I talked about it. And I had been in therapy for months at this point, and I was like not really getting anywhere. And then I watched myself on this video talk about all the pain I went through. And I was like, oh my God, she went through something so hard. But I didn't see that until I watched myself like third person point of view.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? It was crazy. So I don't know if that's what you mean, but that was definitely an interesting experience.
So you couldn't feel what's happening inside. You had to consume it to feel it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I had to consume my own feelings from like a third person perspective before I could understand like, oh, that does matter. Like that was hard. Like,
yeah, so. That is a weird paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's a bit different for me because when I have those feelings, I do feel it. When I got typed by Dave and Shan, they said that I can process my feelings, which is good. But they said I only had 50% use of it. They said that I didn't do the SF cool part, which you are, because you said that you do your hair a certain way, and you do yourself a certain way, which is also SF. So it's like, yeah, you gotta do that part, Kendrick. That's what they said to me. But like
okay.
So because like SF has a lot of the dimension, and I also realized I wasn't setting boundaries with people, right? So basically the 4 dimensions of SF's sleep is setting boundaries, knowing how you feel with inside, and preserving your energy. And then the one that we haven't covered yet that I'm going to ask you about is taking care of your health. So
oh God,
a lot of people like they like to use Wes Watson as an example because he's like a ESTJ and he's like sleep last. So technically this should be the hardest thing for him. Yet if you look at him, he's like freaking jacked to the max. He eats healthy, he works out. So clearly this guy takes care of his health. So it's not like if you have sleep last, it doesn't mean it's impossible. You can definitely do it, but it's definitely not going to be easy. So talk about talk about your routines to take care of your health, like sleeping, eating healthy, working out.
Yeah, it's something I have to force myself to do. Like, and I never, especially before I was developed, I literally like was hazing through life. Literally, I never had a sleep schedule. I never had an eating schedule. I didn't like decide what I wanted to eat. I would just like pick up whatever. I didn't really, but I've grown up exercising, so that wasn't like a really big deal. I was a soccer player, so I just always was moving. So, but once I stopped playing soccer, I was like, I just didn't do anything for my health. I didn't even realize it. And now I do. Now I'm like, okay, one of the reasons I like cooking is because I have control over what I eat, and I can figure that out. And I have a schedule where I exercise daily now, but that's not something that came natural to me. Absolutely. So
yeah, I can see your story and like I can relate to what happened to one of my friends. So I have a friend, she's also sleep last. I think she's an ESFP though, but like I did notice that she was relying on play for exercise because you played soccer, right? So she also played soccer. But like the moment that went away, she started just gaining weight and stuff, and then she didn't know what to do because she didn't have like a routine for like working out. So I feel like it's dangerous to rely on play because that can get pulled away from you, and then now what, right?
Yeah, definitely. That definitely happened to me. Yeah, and I had to like figure out how to get back into it. And I kind of do now. I don't do as much as I used to because I was like crazy and I was running like soccer every single day. But I do exercise every day now. It's mostly walking, but I deliberately will say, okay, you have to walk 2 miles today. Like, so.
Yeah, no, I know walking is great. So you're
Yeah.
definitely doing something right in that area.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So I have a few more questions for you, and we'll wrap up the interview. So
Okay.
one of them is the IP struggle with the tribe. So can you share some stories when you got like tribe hate or a tribe tidal wave?
So I'm like a really weird IP, I guess, because I never really struggled with tribe hate in my life. I was I was a person that had people just, I feel like I don't want to like toot my own horn or anything, but people just, I haven't really faced many people who disliked me. And I guess that's because I'm willing to do so much for the tribe. And like I'll just disrespect myself and do that. And also I just like don't talk about myself. I just like pretend to be cool, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I did struggle with the tribe. I didn't make a whole lot of friends because the tribe didn't know me. I didn't really put myself out there. So I've like never made a friend. My friends all made me. I didn't make a friend. So like that's something that could have, I can see like kind of backfired on me, where I would have just been alone because I didn't reach out to anyone or like try hard to become friends with people.
Right.
That was really weird, I guess. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, it seems like that play and blast in the first tree animal really makes a big difference in avoiding problems, So
Yeah.
I think in a way you have the functions that good for your specific type, so you don't have to,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hope so.
All right. And do you have any so before we wrap up the interview, do you have any final questions for me before we wrap up the interview?
I guess was I what you expected as far as an INFP what's it called, glass lizard?
Well, I've interviewed several of your types before, and you guys are all very different. So I find that very interesting. Like a dude that I interviewed a while ago who's the same type as you, but he's a guy. The one thing that I noticed with him was his masculine NE was like abuse to the max. He was channel changing so much. So you don't channel change as much as him, but
I feel like I do, but maybe I don't.
You do, but not to his like aggressive level.
Okay.
Like, so it's so for me the biggest takeaway was like, okay, you can have someone that's your type twin, but because of your life experience, because it's nurture and nature, right? So nature is your type, but nurture is going to be different for every person. So your life experience will still mold you to who you are today. And
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So for that guy, I don't know why he was channel changing so much, but he was just like a machine channel changer. Like it was channel change on top of channel change on top of channel change. So I was like, oh, crazy.
Oh, wow. You're like, whoa.
But for you, I didn't see you doing that as much, but I did notice your play is crazy. Your play is like,
yeah, I don't know. Like, that's why I thought it was a ENFP jumper. Cause I was like, I'm just always playing, but I don't know. I'm a weird person, I guess.
Well, it's double activated. So it makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
It to be something that you decided to latch onto.
Yeah. And I think it's a compensation actually for my social anxiety. It's like how I figured out when I was young in high school. I literally was like the person who they would say, why don't you ever talk? Why don't you ever say anything? Like, what's wrong with you? So to compensate for that, I like overactivated play. I feel like, so I'm like, I have to say something. I have something to say. I need to invite people into my world. So yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Courtney, thanks for coming out and doing this interview and sharing more
well, thank you.
about your life. So yeah, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, you too.